Let's do a check on the commodities now, where we have seen the industrial commodities decline, especially the crude prices. The NYMEX and the Brent both are trading nearly $1 down at this point in time. The U.S. growth numbers have not been so positive, and the U.S. inventories or the output from U.S. is highest since 1999. So there you have 102, more than $1 of a decline coming in for NYMEX, and ditto is the case with Brent, which is just about holding 122 right now. The LME markets, of course, are not functioning today, but we have seen a rebound happen in case of the precious metal prices. The weak US dollar, the sanctions coming in for Spain, and also what's happening in Iran is something that has led to some safe haven buying for the gold and silver prices. So gold is off those 12-week lows where it was trading in the previous week, and this week has started on a positive note for that one. So more than $10 off again, and 1640 is holding in the international markets, and 0.5% of gain is what you have seen in the Indian gold prices as well. Let's get in our expert then, and Anurag Kataria of ITI Investor Services joins us on the show. He's on Mumbai phone line. Anurag, hi, welcome to the show. Let's start with the crude prices first and the kind of decline that we have continued to see. $100, of course, holding for NYMEX, but would you sell at these current levels?
Yeah, we would be seller on these markets. There are a couple of things as far as coupled with whatever data you have spoken about. I believe there is a data in terms of China is concerned wherein inflationary pressure are pretty high. In March, we are talking about somewhere around 3.5 to 3.4%. That could have a reverse impact. If you look at other geopolitical news, Iran has agreed to have further discussion in terms of UN is concerned and talking about the security concerns. I believe that there could be a possibility that crude can trade below $100. I would trade aggressively on crude with a stop loss of 103 to 103.25 for a target of $100 and below. Once the market starts declining, I would actually trail my stop loss and run the position.
Anurag, how would you look at the base metal prices? The LME markets, of course, are shut today. They would reopen tomorrow, but Shanghai has seen a bit of a decline. Do you think after LME reopens tomorrow, or what are you expecting in the US session evening today itself?
I believe US session could give some kind of respite because tomorrow and after tomorrow there is some data which is expected out of US. If that turns out to be positive, copper could get a support of around 427 to 429 kind of a range. But 427 and below, to be precisely, LME front $8,300 below. If the market closes, then we would be looking at bearish. Till that time, I would trade cautiously bullish on copper.
How would you look at other base metal prices? Because nickel has been slightly supportive in the recent days. We've seen some amount of gains come back for zinc as well, not so much for aluminum and lead in the markets in the recent days. How has the second quarter started for metals for you?
Yeah, Manisha, to be very honest, except for copper, we are not very bullish on other base metals. We would trade on the bearish end, probably leaving for zinc. Copper might also turn bearish in coming some days. But otherwise, we are trading cautiously to sideways to bearish on all other base metals except for zinc.
Anurag, how would you look at the gold prices? Because last week was a bad one. We closed on the negative. This week has started slightly on the positive side. The US dollar is weaker, but so is the euro, which is trading at a one-month lows versus the dollar. So how would you compare gold at these levels?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Because if you see, technically, we have been talking about a support zone of around $1640 to $1680, and that has been broken, and immediately we have seen a knee-jerk reaction coming in from gold market to $1,614 to $15. But if you see the Indian jewelry strike, which is which has ended 21st day, I believe that could not result into immediate imports of gold, and that might have some kind of inventory pressure on the jewelry itself. But I believe $1650, $1655 still could be taken as a resistance. I would trade gold this entire week $1630 to $1660. $1630 and below, I would trade on the negative buy side. Our market gold will remain negative, but it will be interesting to see how the rupee moves in that tandem. If rupee depreciates further from here, I believe gold prices can be supportive around 28,250 to 28,300.
This is about the very near term, Anurag, but how would you want to trade the gold prices in this quarter? Now, the previous quarter, of course, has been supportive, but there are many reports talking about 1620, 1580 kind of levels as well. Do you think gold would see that kind of a dip?
Yeah, I would advocate for the first level of $1,580 and then going forward 1520. But 1580 still remains a crucial support for me. I believe $1665 to $1670 can be a stop loss for this quarter, and one can look at the levels of around 1580. But given the scenario, this quarter would be an accumulation quarter in terms of gold is concerned. Again, towards the end of the year, I'm pretty bullish on gold, and we would be seeing a level of around $1,850 to $1,900 kind of a scenario. But 15 to 1550 would be a good range for this quarter to accumulate gold. I would not be completely bearish on gold at all.
And how about silver? Because you're not very bullish on the base metal pack, but you're bullish on gold. So silver between middle of that, how do you see that one reacting? The previous quarter, of course, has been good, but this quarter has started slightly weaker.
Yeah, this weakness in silver could continue to $28. I believe 48,000 is the M6 price which I would be watching out for. I'm not very bullish on silver. We could have a resistance in place of around 58,500 to 58,250. That could be a resistance zone which can be maintained for silver for this entire quarter.
All right, Anurag, we'll let you go at that. Thank you so much for joining us. That's the view coming in from ITI Securities. They are buying into most of those commodities for the very intraday. They are expecting gold and silver prices to rebound when the US markets open today. But for the near term or for this quarter, sell-on rallies is the strategy coming in from ITI Securities.